Ninth best performer year to date is SVB Financial. SVB Financial, being the banker to these immense pools of capital, has always been a very good business. Stock's still cheap. These stocks that have more room to run. Stock's still cheap.
A few moments later.
LOL! I've learned enough in my lifetime that stock's still cheap. Stock's still cheap.
You serious?
Jim Cramer did it again. He told his audience to go long a bank stock right before they effectively failed. This isn't the first time that Jim has done this. But even if you've watched Jim, I doubt you keep a track record on the guy, but you probably have noticed two things. First, he makes so many calls it's impossible to keep track of them all. And secondly, he has so much energy and says so many random incoherent things, it's like we're watching a coked up Blippi for adults.
And this is a secret around through the commercial you're gonna find in the food. Jeez.
There's just something about the guy. In fact, we've lost brain cells just studying him for this video. The first word that comes to mind when I try to analyze his show is incoherent, but the second word would be entertaining. Whether he's stuck in a bucket, pounding the table with conviction, or giving tearful apologies for calls he clearly got wrong, the internet just loves making fun of the guy. And many of those critics are doing so from glass houses.
Namaste. So this is a good point to get in.
A few moments later.
Oh my God! And if you're on Twitter, you've probably noticed an Inverse Cramer joke account, which then inspired an actual ETF, which just went live, by the way, where you can short Jim's picks. The ticker symbol is SJIM for short Jim. And it begs the question, will Jim recommend the short Cramer ETF? He has to, right? Just to see if it collapses on itself and sucks all the financial media into a singularity. But how wrong is Cramer? A guy who makes a few dozen picks a day and usually doesn't offer time horizon isn't easy to keep track of, but it's been tried. Studies in 2011 and 2013 showed that the stocks Cramer picked averaged a 1/4 to 1/2% uptick in each of the 3 days before Cramer mentioned them, suggesting he's picking stocks that have a running start, and an average 2% bump on the days that Cramer mentions them on TV. They went sideways on average in the 30 days that followed. You're probably wondering what the sample size looked like on this. Well, it was a portfolio of 538 Cramer buy recommendations held for 2.5 years between 2004 to 2008, unless Cramer put out a sell recommendation. Sell. None of the periods that anyone tracked had Cramer beating or underperforming the market by any significant margin over any period of time, meaning following Cramer would be basically the same as hopping on every random NASDAQ stock that gets a little momentum. He earned his reputation as a perpetual mush recently on some high-profile misses that were really wrong and pretty funny. For example, let's talk about Facebook, or Meta. There they are in the metaverse. Exciting. Looks like it would be good news for professional pickpocketers. Jim featured it again the next day on Squawk on the Street, and his co-anchor David Faber said,
I have deep misgivings about the metaverse. I can't help it. I know I'm a dinosaur.
Okay,
I know.
think you need to go
deep misgivings.
See it.
And Jim got pretty defensive.
Okay,
Now,
what are they spending over the next 5 years?
Not nearly as much as we thought. It's not going to be the tens of billions.
It isn't?
No.
3 months later, in November of 2022, Zucks announced that Meta would be laying off 11,000 employees that they couldn't afford to keep around anymore if they wanted to stay profitable, because he had spent $15 billion building the metaverse. Meta's stock fell like someone who took a virtual reality tour of the Grand Canyon at the actual Grand Canyon. The layoffs ended up working, by the way. The stock's up over 60% since the announcement was first made. Meta still turned a profit in Q4 of 2022, and the stock is now back to where it started. But at the time, Cramer was pretty sorry about it. In fact, it looked like he was gonna cry.
I trusted them, not myself. For that, I regret.
Okay.
I've been in this business for 40 years, and I did a bad job. I'm not proud. When I discussed this with my wife, Lisa, because this is all I talked about last night. But I want to go back again. I made a mistake, and I was wrong.
I kind of like how he invokes his wife into it to help him carry the load. He never invokes his wife when he's getting all indignant about the Fed.
You know what? It's Cramer 1 Fed nothing from 2007, and he's wrong, excuse me, for trying to do some work, which is what he ought to do. And what I think is that when I look at what happened in 2007... 2007
was vintage Cramer. Everyone knows that clip from 2007.
No, they don't.
What? They don't know?
No. Show them.
Oh, we got to show it to you then. But let me build it up a bit first. Though he did once operate a hedge fund, the Cramer we know today has spent a lot more time in the media than he has in finance. Even before working as an editor at Smart Money magazine and founding TheStreet.com, Cramer worked reporter jobs for the Tallahassee Democrat and the LA Herald Examiner. Then he went to Harvard Law School, and the old fishing tale says that he made enough money trading to cover his tuition. He used to leave stock picks on answering machine messages, and the story goes New Republic founder Marty Peretz played Cramer's answering machine picks and made money. Peretz staked Cramer with $500,000, and he showed a decent return. After graduating from Harvard Law, Cramer worked at Goldman Sachs for 3 years before branching out into his own hedge fund. Peretz was one of the initial backers of Cramer's hedge fund, Cramer and Berkowitz, along with Harvard classmate and future New York governor Eliot Spitzer. We don't know how early Spitzer bought into Cramer's hedge fund, but I'd like to think he was client number 9. The way Cramer tells it, Cramer and Berkowitz did pretty good in the years he ran it, but it's a hard thing to check on. He told PBS that he sold all of his positions the Friday before Black Monday, which I suppose that saved him some money, but the markets were basically flat from that Friday within a year. Cramer's name was still on the door of the hedge fund while he was working as an editor-at-large for Smart Money, and when he and Peretz founded TheStreet.com. So it was probably fair to say that even while he was technically managing money, Cramer put more effort into financial media than finance. But bona fides build credibility, and airtime builds recognition. Jim Cramer, editor of Smart Money magazine and hedge fund manager, did frequent guest spots on CNBC through the 1990s until by 2002, he had half of his very own show, Kudlow and Cramer. The Mad Money we know today started in 2005, got really big really quickly, and has been the most popular and consistent show on financial TV ever since. Hundreds of thousands of stay-at-home traders and TV-at-work traders watch Cramer yell at them every day. Some of them love him, some of them hate him, but they all watch.
Nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
Mad Money is like a Taco Bell burrito. Cheesy, cheap. The meat that is there makes you wonder where it came from. You aren't exactly proud of it, but you're definitely coming back for more because it's satisfying. Here's how Mad Money works. We take a company you've probably never heard of, follow it up with some kind of easy, accessible bit about its place in the industry and its industry's place in the world. Maybe there's a reference to some competitor's stock that has a lot less market share, but is worth a lot more. Maybe we have some time to fill, so we have the CEO on for 5 minutes to chat, and then we've got the lightning round. I got Jim from Nevada. My name's Jim. You want to know about Tesla? I like Tesla. They sell a lot of cars. Bye. I got Tommy from Kansas. Tom, you want to know about Apple? Well, guess what? They may sell a lot of phones, but they're overvalued. Sell. Shelly from Seattle is asking me about Bionomics. I love Seattle. Big Nirvana fan. Love the Seahawks. Cutting edge technology. Bye. I got Gary from Tampa. He's asking me about NVIDIA. Well, NVIDIA makes chips. Jimmy loves salt and vinegar. Bye. I got Peter from Ohio asking me about Beyond Meat. Ohio, the Drew Carey state. Bye. Cramer is mashing buttons at the stock market like it's Super Smash Brothers. Each one of them with a satisfying dopamine-packed sound effect.
Buy, buy, buy! Sell, 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 sell!
Pavlov would have loved Jim Cramer. The Jim Cramer character handles the market the way most Joe retail stock jockeys do. Minimum consideration, maximum emotion. If they wanted information-based investment television, one of those eggheads who work 80 hours per week in the Goldman Sachs basement would have a TV show. Viewers don't want a research paper, they want a racing form for the dog track. They just want to pick something already so they can lay down some money and start dreaming about getting rich. In 2006, Cramer wrote a book called Watch TV and Get Rich. Then he followed it up in 2007 with one about getting rich and staying rich. But then in 2009, his book was called Getting Back to Even, because in 2007, oh yeah, we haven't talked about 2007. Cramer's most infamous moment was from 2007. Easily the best financial TV meltdown of all time. Oh boy, you've got to see this.
You knew what the banks were doing, and yet were touting it for months and months. And so now to pretend that this was some sort of crazy once-in-a-lifetime tsunami that nobody could have seen coming is disingenuous at best and criminal at worst. I can't reconcile the brilliance and knowledge that you have of the intricacies of the market with the crazy bull I see you do every night.
But a lot of you were still in diapers or had to block 2007 through 2008 out of your memory for emotional health reasons, so let me set this up for you. It was raining blood out there. The major markets were all in wicked tailspins because mortgage-backed security products were falling apart quickly. Investment banks had high leverage positions in those security products, sometimes as high as 25 to 1. You guys have seen The Big Short, right?
These B's and double B's went from a little risky to dog shit. Where's the trash? Behind you. I'm talking rock bottom FICO scores. No income verification. Adjustable rates. Dog shit.
Bear Stearns was one of those investment banks. It wasn't a regular chartered bank that took deposits and issued checking accounts and wrote mortgages. Those kinds of banks can borrow from the Federal Reserve when they're in a jam. Bear Stearns was a Wall Street investment bank who aggregated those mortgages and sold them. They couldn't borrow off the Fed under normal circumstances. But all those other places Bear Stearns usually borrowed money from had long stopped believing in their collateral. The Fed was the only place a loan like that could come from. So Cramer needed Bernanke to
Get on the Bear Stearns call, listen, open the darn Fed window. He has no idea how bad it is out there. He has no idea. He has no idea.
Cramer.
I have talked to the heads of almost every single one of these firms in the last 72 hours, and he has no idea what it's like out there. None! And Bill Poole has no idea what it's like out there. My people have been in this game for 25 years, and they are losing their jobs, and these firms are going to go out of business, and he's nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
Cramer.
Bear Stearns needed a Fed loan to cover $30 billion worth of toxic mortgage-backed security products that nobody else would touch. But the people who might soon be kicked out of those houses that those mortgages were written against, well, Jim didn't seem to have any concerns about them. He was more worried that
My people have been in this game for 25 years, and they are losing their jobs, and these firms are going to go out of business, and he's nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing! He has no idea!
Jim is lifelong friends with people who are guaranteed $8 million a year to manage $15 billion worth of other people's assets. He knows how much pressure they're under to earn their $12 million bonuses. That might be why he doesn't manage money anymore. Too much stress. Cramer's job is to keep the retail crowd interested so that the guys he plays golf with have somewhere to unload their paper. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you could do me a big favor, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so I can keep making more of this content for y'all. I love you all.